I'll burn the pancakes and probably the house too, but baby, it's stuck to me like glue.
Hi, folks. I had to start and stop this episode like 10 times and kept deleting the recording and starting over because I was like starting with the hi, this is the. And I'm like, no, that's not the vibe right now, Evelyn. I want to talk to you a little bit about the last episode, and we're going to end and go into some very, very positive shit. But I do want to share with you what just happened just now. So if you refer to the episode with my friend Joseph about dating and relationships, he was giving me some advice. And, he's like, flush that tadpole down the toilet. And for my sake, I had to. Ironically, I changed my wallpaper last night, and it didn't really make sense to me why I did that until now, but it says, forgive everyone for not being able to love you the way you needed them to. Then forgive yourself for looking for love in all the wrong places. And it's sad because when people are passionate and heated and angry and upset, people do rash and not nice things, pretty malicious. Evil, I'm not so quite sure, but regardless of whether or not the intention is malicious or not, there's a lot of pain during breakups, right? So the problem with situationships is, for whatever reason, they're undefined. Maybe because someone feels love but can't love, and so it's unofficial because of that reason. Maybe someone loves you dearly, but you're in a relationship and you can't technically be official because you're taken, but it doesn't mean that the feelings and the love is not there. Those are just some prime examples. Well, I had a situationship with this guy that just ended like 5 minutes ago. No, it's not true. We broke up several months ago, but for him, he broke up 5 minutes ago because he's an avoidant, and it's kind of fascinating. If you don't work on yourself or love yourself in a breakup, you're going to put it on the other person and say, this is your fault. I don't like you. But what he's really saying is he doesn't like himself. And it's hard for me to say that because psychology is really confusing to me when you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes when you don't understand them. But as my, I guess now ex-guy friend was shoving things into my car very aggressively, I called him as we were sitting in this traffic side by side because we had to stop by the bank. And I said, hey, are you mad at me or are you mad at yourself? And he said, kind of sounded like a broken record, like it was kind of rehearsed. And he said, I have zero intention of keeping you in my life. Click. And then I called him back. I said, are these the last words you ever want to say to me? Is this what you want me to hear? And he said, I have zero intention of keeping you in my life. You are not a positive person to have. Click. And if I listen to the words he's saying, I would be very butthurt and take very big offense. And to be honest, I do. Because regardless if the words are true or not, it still hurts. Logically, I'm trying to see how this is literally all my fault because we broke up over his avoidance. Him having feelings, which is a totally normal, rational human thing to have. He didn't want feelings, but I think he's similar to me. I don't know if he would admit this, but I am a firm believer of you can't help who you love or like. And he didn't mean to like me. He didn't mean to meet me. I mean, it was his fault. He met me on a dating app. So, that's more on him. But I don't think he meant to catch feelings for me. And I didn't mean to hold on for as long as I did. And the sad part is, I need somebody who can communicate. I need somebody who has awareness, takes accountability, doesn't blame me for their mistakes. And I could be very mad and say a lot of hurtful things and have been very passionately upset with him before for stupid shit that he did or didn't do. And it's so hard for me to understand this psychologically, but I guess it's true because psychology says this is true, because this is what people say about avoidance. But again, it doesn't really make much sense to me. But I did ask him over the phone. I looked to the right of me. He was in the fucking Hummer next to me. And he's like, I literally asked him, are you mad at me or are you mad at yourself? Like, I'm trying to recall, what did I actually do other than want to love you? And the sad part is, he loved me, but he didn't know how to love me. He couldn't love me. So in a way, I think psychologically he is mad at himself, but because he's an avoidant, he doesn't know that he's mad at himself because he avoids that. So he projects it on me. It's a very confusing thing to me. To be honest, I don't really understand it because I'm not one. But I was trying to understand before we were meeting up because he was kind of aggressive and mad over the phone. And when we finally met up, I was like, okay, let's see. Is he going to want to say anything? Is he going to want to shake hands? Is he going to want to have any final words? Nope. It was pretty much aggression the entire time. And when I saw him, I asked my friend, I was like, hey, ask your girlfriend what this means if you're an avoidant and he says these words. And then I texted him back and I said, you know what? I think I got my answer. I'm looking at this guy that really, really wants to keep his pride and his ego. And he really wants to make sure that he is in control. And he's storming away. And even though it looks like he's mad at me, I could see him storming away. And I'm like, he's not mad at me. He's really fucking mad at himself right now. And he's taking it out on me. And I can't hate him for that. I can see it more clearly now. Does that help the last year of pain that he has put me through? No, but that's why I'm choosing not to be with an avoidant anymore. And between the 2 times that I saw him today, I was like, well, I guess this answers your question about your ex that you couldn't get over for 5 years. Now you know how he actually feels about you, despite the words that he was saying. I could easily Google, hey, do all men say what they actually feel? Or if a man says something to you, is that how he truly feels? Do men always tell the truth? That's what I would want to Google. But first off, we can't generalize. Google doesn't know the situation. And also, just saying that out loud, I'm answering my own question. But I'm a logical person. I'm a serious person. I don't take things with a grain of salt. If you tell me something, I'm believing those words. And it takes a lot of work on my part to think of any other options other than the logical, rational, what's right in front of you. I am a very girly, passionate, emotional, sensitive girl, but oh my God, I can be serious and logical, and that part can really take over sometimes. It was fucking tragic. I honestly thought, all the way to seeing him in a fucking Staples parking lot. I was so mad. I was like, first off, you said you were going to come to my house. Now you're making me come over here. That's totally fine. But why couldn't I meet you in front of your house? And the reason why logic is important to me is I'm like, bro, I know where you live. Do you think I'm going to cause a scandal? If I wanted to cause a scandal at your place, I would have already done it. What do you think? I'm going to hurt you? Ugh, hurt you? I said, I don't see you. You aren't here. I said, Jesus Christ, I know where you live. This is a bad attempt of not looking like a coward. That's what I said. in anger. And I meant it because I felt offended because I thought he didn't want me to pick up the stuff from his house because he thought I was going to hurt him or something. I'm like, Evelyn, he's not worried about being physically hurt. He's worried about being emotionally hurt, having a memory of you at his house. Pride, the shame, the guilt. I'm like, no, that can't be it. Well, Evelyn, reminder, sometimes you have an effect on people. And yes, that still surprises you. But yes, you are capable of breaking hearts into millions of pieces accidentally. If it was a competition, I'd be like, bro, you got nothing on me. Like, you don't know the pain I feel, but we're not gonna go down that road. It's unfortunate that those are the last words he ever wanted to say to me. No shaking hands, no hug and kiss, no like sayonara, have a nice life. Like none of that. It was just, I think he's going to go home and just silently suffer. And I will have yet again another breakup with someone who says nasty words to me and never talks to me again. It's not great, right? It's not great. And he meant a lot to me because he was the first guy I liked after I lost the love of my life. And he was like, oh, I guess I can love or like somebody again. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know I could be interested in someone outside of the man that I loved. And I was in a very interesting journey when I met him. I was recovering from a very, very, very low place. I was working up the nerve to have confidence again and believe in myself after being like robbed and drugged. And he came over kind of for like a date or a hangout at like 9:00 at night because I had a weird schedule because I was working minimum wage security for like one of the worst companies like you could ever possibly hire. And within those 2 years, I bought a condo. I have a better job and I'm confident and sexy. And, he saw me through this whole journey of living in a shitty ghetto studio to being a property owner. I mean, there's some depth there. He is the only person that ever encouraged my condo and believed I could do it. It sucks, you guys. It sucks. But there's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control. But ultimately, as perverse as this world is, it would have never worked for him or for me. If he never kept growing and if I settled, yeah, it could have worked. If I just said, you know what, Evelyn, forget your standards, forget your hopes and dreams, forget, what you want. Like, don't be so judgmental of the situation. Just only do and cater to what works for him because, he can't do this and that. And if I really did that, then, if I gave up myself, maybe it would have worked for him. If he worked on himself, maybe it would have worked for me. If we came in the middle and both did what we had to do, maybe over time it could have worked, but it didn't, obviously. And it's hard with avoidance. And I will miss that guy and I care for him deeply. And it sucks that this is the last time I'm ever going to see him. But it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. I wish the situation could have been better. I've been trying for the last 6 months to get my stuff back. 6 months, you guys, 6 months. And he just got angrier and angrier and angrier every time I was asking. And then because he was avoiding the situation so much, the last 2 months, I've been messaging him every week. Once a week in an email, once a week in a text, once a week in a phone call. Ignore. Okay, let's do it next week. Nope, I'm conveniently out of town. Oh, look, I'm out of town again. Next week. It took 2 months for him to finally be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give her shit back. And yeah, it was not pretty. I worked the whole way. It took an hour in rush hour traffic to get it all. And it took me everything I had inside of me to not yell, not be angry, not say vicious words. I said, Evelyn, you've learned things along the way. Be a kind person, be a good person. And I was open to a conversation, although I didn't see it happening. And I just I can't even fathom that, like, he's throwing money in my car. He's slamming the doors. Can't even, like, look me in the face. And I'm like, God damn, I can't be mad anymore. It's a very sad and tragic situation. But of course I was mad before. But it helps when you can kind of, I guess, see the other side. The reason why I'm even messaging you guys right now about all of this is because the last episode was all about me trying to go on new dates and move on, as I have tried to for the last several months. And I had some pretty, like, awful dating app experiences. And sorry, I'm, like, amazed. I've been sitting here talking to you for 20 minutes. That's dramatic. 17 minutes, and my car has moved moved 5 feet. It is absolutely amazing to me that LA traffic, 18 minutes, and I've moved 1 block. Like, I'm not actually joking. 1 block. It took me 18 minutes to go 1 block. Wild, you guys. I'm just distracted because I'm like, wow, if there's not a bigger problem in the world right now, it's seeing this shit show in front of me and thinking that this is okay and that we should normalize this type of life and world. The world is obviously complicated. So going back to what I was trying to say, I didn't think we were going to have that kind of opener to the podcast. So I want to start off by saying, I don't know anything. I've been told that I'm smart. I've been told that I'm one of the smartest or most intelligent people that some people know, that I know a lot, that I'm intuitive, that I trust my gut very good. I've heard it all. But I think a smart person would know they're pretty fucking dumb. And life doesn't always happen the way it makes sense to you. You can know something, you can major in something, you can study something, and you could still have no clue. And if you don't actually get an honest answer or meet somebody in the time and the place where it makes sense to give them that clarity, what can you actually say that you really know, right? So despite me thinking that I know a lot sometimes, I really don't. And I really love being able to be wrong because there's still so much to learn in this world. And life is still so very complicated that it's so frustrating when people think they know everything all the time, because it's almost like you really don't know anything at all. And props to therapists and counselors and people that have to specialize in knowing who you are first and also going to school to be able to understand this stuff. But even with psychology and philosophy, you know, how many different philosophers are there in this world? And how many different opinions do they have that contradict each other? And guess what? They're all right and they're all wrong. And that's the crazy part about life, is that we have different opinions and we're all right and we're all wrong, you know? Is it inherently wrong to murder someone? Is it wrong every time? Is the death penalty right every time? Are there bigger issues at play? Does it matter if you were a rapist or a pedophile or, you know, Hitler? Does it matter? Throwing things out there. Does every bad person deserve to be murdered? I don't even know if that's a valid argument, because it's like, good things happen to bad people all the time. Bad things happen to good people all the time. Vice versa, a spectrum in between. My point is, lately I've been very frustrated and depressed because I've been on my self-development journey for several years now, and I wasn't necessarily getting the answers that I needed to kind of keep me through, keep me going. I needed some spark, some energy, some fun, some zest. I've been grinding so hard. I've been overanalyzing so hard. I've been doing everything I could. Work, work, work. Grind, grind, grind. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Also eat well and work out, but make sure you're grinding hard. And you don't want to be in survival mode. Okay, you're not in survival anymore, but why can't I get into the achieving, thriving mode? I want to be thriving and not just living, day to day, like, everything is so tragic and difficult. And, oh, make sure that your schedule is good and make sure you're balancing with your friends at the event. I mean, it's exhausting. Even just saying that is kind of like my point, right? My point is that I'm very wrong oftentimes, and I'm really grateful for the times where I am wrong, because it's so easy for me to get in a certain mindset or mentality. And, I was given up for a while, and I was like, no, I'm a realist. This is how life works. And there's no other way that anything else can exist. And everything's going to stay the same all the time. And I think the part that annoys me is that whatever trial you're going through, or phase or season, as people call it, and sometimes those seasons are years and years and years. When I was on medication and I was like super anxious and depressed, I was on it for like 7.5, almost 8 years, and like coping with cannabis. And I mean, it took me like 9 years before I realized, oh yeah, the medication's killing you, and cannabis is like making you go fucking batshit crazy. And that's like a 9-year season. And I've been on this 3-year journey of just like the same fucking bullshit. Work hard. Where's the payoff? Work hard. Where's the payoff? And so I don't know, like, I'm working towards the next thing in my life, and I've been not understanding why things weren't working out in this cookie cutter way. And thankfully, like, I've been like off social media more. I'm like only doing it to post. I think when I was really into spirituality, I was like doing a lot of like numerology, twin flame, like mumbo jumbo shit on like social media, and like trying to like find people that could like help me study it or connect with people online with similar viewpoints. And, that stuff just like wasn't working for me. So like I said, no, right? But I'm so grateful that somehow, some way, and to be honest, I don't even know if you get to know the reason, or if it's like, I don't know, it's just time. I mean, it would be nice. Maybe some things do happen in your time. Maybe sometimes timing just kind of works out. But I really do want to work on not overanalyzing things so much, because, I went on, it wasn't a date, but like this, guy came over from my house from like super far away. And a couple days later, I was like super in my head, and I was very triggered by some things. And, it took me like almost a week to be like, Evelyn, it's not him. You're just being triggered by like some shit that happened to you in the past, and maybe don't take it out on this guy. And so I had sent him a message like, hey, sorry, I don't think we're compatible. Like, I think you're really great, but like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope you take care. Like, nice meeting you. And he just hearted the message. He said nothing. And then probably like 5 days later, I was like, why can't I get this guy out of my head? Like, what's the deal? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're not even interested in him. Like, what is it? Like, why do you keep coming back to him? And so I sent him like this audio message, and I basically told him, like, if I'm being honest, like, I don't really see you that way. Like, I don't really like, I mean, if I'm going off the very first reaction, like, I mean, no. But I said, I can't get over like the way you like showed me love and affection that night. And I couldn't figure out why that was so overwhelmingly powerful. But then like this, like, surface level kind of connection that I was feeling just like wasn't there. And this motherfucker sent me a 13-minute audio message like a day and a half, 2 days later, when I thought I wasn't going to hear from him again. And he just tried to explain some things to me like, I think half the shit you just told me was like in your head. Like, I'm like sorry that you feel this way, blah, blah, blah. And we started like shooting the shit. And I was like, I can't believe I get so much crapola for people having to read a paragraph or people listening to an audio message. And this guy goes out of his way to try to clarify some things with me. And it wasn't just like an automatic, like, okay, bye. And so I had to lay my own issues, trauma, pride, ego. I had to lay all that down and be like, maybe I was completely horrifically wrong. Like this guy like drove crazy freaking far away to like spend the wee hours of the morning with me, and then like he spent the night, and it was like amazing. So like I don't know what that means, but maybe I don't get to decide like in a day or in a week, right? So if you flash forward like a couple weeks, you know, we've been talking and I've seen him a couple of times. I was pretty upset yesterday that I had to take a forced vacation for Memorial Day. And I was so mad. I was like, no one told me I wasn't going to get paid. No one told me you guys couldn't put me on the work schedule. I was hitting up my other bosses and I was like, can you help me find work? Like, this is crazy. I was not prepared. I woke up early to work. I didn't know, like, how am I going to fuck, like a forced day off unpaid. Like, I got to go figure out something to do to like, you know, make this situation not suck. Right. And so this dude was like, yeah, well, I'm going to go to Big Bear. I'm going to like go ride my bike and like hang out in Big Bear for a while. And I was like, you know, I'm not trying to like invite myself or anything, but I said I was going to go to the mountain anyways. Like, are you down to like meet up? Like, you and I have conflicting schedules. Like, hey, like, you know, I got off. Let's do it. And so, you know, we ended up going to Big Bear, and I think I got to his place around 10 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get home until close to 11 p.m. And we had this most amazing day. And this is after like, you know what, a week and a half of like texting and calling, and I saw him like once in between. And it's so interesting. I end up like really liking this guy, and you know, we're hanging out like on this trail, and he's telling me like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want to force something. I don't want it to just be about sex. Like, he's basically like telling me experiences he had with exes and how he wants to try something like different this time. And like, I could take what he's saying in two different ways. We need to slow down. We're not even like dating at this point. Like, we're just hanging out. And in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, this guy can't even call this entire like romantic trek like a date. Like, I don't understand. Like, I asked him, I said, like, how is this not a date? And he's like, we're literally just hanging out. I'm like, but how isn't this a date? Like, you're kissing me, you're holding me, like, we're hugging. Like, I don't understand. Like, I like did this whole, I don't know. I'm not even gonna get into it. We had this like amazing day. And I was like, well, how am I gonna know when it's a date? And he's like, I don't know, I'm gonna like fucking show up to your house with flowers and chocolates or something. I was like, you're gonna show up to my house with flowers? Like, that's how I'll know? And it's just funny to me that like I had this thought in my head like a week prior of him showing up to my house with flowers. And I was like, why do you like want that? Why is that a fantasy? So the fact that he brought that up was like really strange to me. But it's just funny because I'm like, we keep hanging out and talking, but he won't call it a date. And I'm getting frustrated. Like, okay, well, I only want to show attention and time into you. We're not monogamous, but we want to be putting our time and attention into one person. And he's like, you're trying to rush a relationship. I said, no, like, believe me, I'm not trying to rush a relationship, but can we at least like say we're dating so I can say to people, yes, I'm dating. No, it's not exclusive, but like I'm dating. I don't know, like sue a girl for wanting to like say she's dating someone, right? But I have to remind myself that it's not just me with past hurt. And he had to tell me like 10 million times, like, no, Evelyn, what we've been doing, we're just hanging out and we're getting to know each other. He's like, I want to do this right. Like, I don't want to rush into something or have it just be about sex and then we don't know each other. He's like, I'm still trying to get to know you. You're still trying to get to know me. And I'm like, okay, but like, can't we do that like on a date? Like, help me try to figure out what this means. And it's just funny because like I've been telling myself, like, go with the flow, like release your labels. Like, don't you want to just like appreciate the moment? And so I really just had to like pull back. And it's weird because like I wasn't expecting to like this guy. I wasn't expecting to like, as every time that we hung out, things got like better and better. And so I ended up like really having feelings for this guy. And I naturally just like fall hard for people like pretty soon. And he's like, nope, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it's funny because he shows love in different ways. Like, I don't want to take you out on a date for a couple weeks because like I don't have any money right now and I have some bills that I need to pay. You know, I can respect that he's like trying to be a man about it. And then, you know, he's like, oh, hey, look at the back of my car. Like, I got a bike seat and I got a helmet, like, so you can ride on my bike. Like, that's the way I'm trying to show you that, like, I care and that I see you in my future. But we're having like a total like disconnect because he's the type of guy that's like, I'm not gonna fucking talk about my feelings. Like, I'm not gonna like say these things. Like, you're just gonna have to see my actions and know that that's me caring. And it's just like a weird dynamic for me. And I have to try to like understand like how to make something like that work, right? But I'm really into this guy. And I called him last night when I was on my way home from our little like vacation in the mountains. And I told him, I said, like, bro, how are we going to do this? I said, like, my cousin's been in a long distance relationship with a girl for 10 years who's like literally on another continent for like most of that time. And I'm like, yeah, we don't need like boats and ferries and trains and planes that we have to buy to see each other. But like 60 miles one way is not a joke. And I told him, I said, like, as I'm doing this very long drive home from your place right now, I said, it's one thing to have a long drive, but it's another thing if our schedules don't align. I told him, I said, when I'm off on the weekends, he's working. When he's off during the week, I'm working. And so we both work pretty long, intense hours. So it's either I get to see you for a couple hours on a work night after like a super long shift and I'm super exhausted, or I see you after work on your long shift for a couple hours before you have to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning again. So I told him, I said, like, how the fuck are we going to make this work? Like, how is this even possible? Like, we've got two things against us. He's like, well, so what are you saying right now? And I'm like, no, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not saying that. But like, I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, how are we going to work it out? Like, are we just going to have to like figure out life together? Or are we going to just have to like hope that things kind of like plan out and that we'll like figure it out along the way? Like, are we supposed to know these answers like going forward? Like, it's like the world is not against us, but like we have some things that are like really, you know, not possible to make this work. Like, gas is 75 cents cheaper where you live. That's how far away you live from me. Like, what? And I think what's funny and what I've learned from today as I'm like driving to San Diego, and, you know, these are just like thoughts and opinions that could be wrong. But like I was screaming at like 4 different people at my job yesterday. And I'm like, No, my boss didn't tell me that this was a forced vacation. If I had known, I would have done all these things. Like, oh my God, I gotta work like 10 million more hours just to make up a day's worth of work. And what am I so... And then I didn't have like any work this morning, like none, zilch, period. And my boss's boss's boss was like, hey, I'm gonna give you some of those high paying radioactives. Like, you ready? And so he sends me like, the list of what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to pay for Monday and Tuesday. It's going to pay for today and yesterday. And I'm like, I didn't have to stress. I didn't have to worry. Like, it didn't help the situation any. And I'm tripping out because I'm like, well, I'm not trying to survive. I'm trying to thrive. And I just, throughout the day to day, even though it's been slow, opportunities in the route that I was on just kept piling up. And I was like, what? This is so weird. And I think as much as I love philosophy and as much as I love psychology, it's like there's truly only so much you can do on your own. But it's like if you pick at something, if you force something, if you don't believe that other things are possible, if you're closed-minded or you think in a box or you say this is what it's like for everybody, how could your life be blessed, or how could you get opportunities or think anything's different if you think this is the way the situation's going to be for all people? And it's rough sometimes, like every day has been slow at work. I've been kind of tripping out about it, but like there's moments of joy and opportunities. And I got to go on a quote hangout with someone that was completely unplanned, completely last minute. We got to know each other like a lot better. And it's like, okay, like you didn't have to trip out and you got to make up money today. And I'm in this weird place in my life where I'm like, even though you love studying all these different thoughts and beliefs and you believe that things can happen a certain way, what's starting to work out for me personally is let it go, let it be. Don't think and worry or assume. Just do what you're supposed to do. Let things come in. And if they're not coming in yet, get some other shit done. Take care of your needs. Be flexible. Like, just relax a little bit. And I feel like I've broken a curse, like my dad, it broke my heart the other day. He was like, Evelyn, he's like, you only seem to be attracting broken people. Like, why are you attracting so many hurt and broken guys in your life? And I was like, Jesus, Dad, like, okay, like, I get it. This totally sucks. And I couldn't figure out, I'm like, well, if I'm putting in all this work, like, what is the problem? What this law of attraction thing that people talk about, like, what does that say about me? And I feel like it's only been in the last couple weeks where I feel like I've genuinely broken a curse or a cycle. So it is possible, people. It is. I'm talking to somebody every day for the last couple weeks who communicates, who, tells me what's up, who clarifies things with me, who's not just trying to like break up after the first disagreement or argument. Like I'm with someone who's super fucking far away from where I am. We have horrible fucking conflicting schedules. He's like adorable, but like he doesn't have a lot of money. He's like a little shorty, but like, big in all the right places. And it's just like not my type. And I'm like loving every second of it. I don't know. Like, it's funny to me that like 2 times he's like, I don't want to hurt you and I don't want to get hurt. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, how is he going to get hurt if I like him? How's that possible? Like, he's trying to tell me to slow down. Is he telling me that or is he telling him that? Or maybe he's trying to tell both of us that. Because sometimes I feel like he like says things out loud to like reassure a situation. But, my problem for me is that I need to find a way to slow down keep giving him space. He's not even asking for space, but like, I text a lot, and I feel like when you're in a long distance thing, it's like that's kind of like what you have to do, right? Like you text a lot, you talk a lot, but for two people that work 13-hour days, it's like how do you make that work? And I don't think it's my job. That's the wrong word. I don't think it's our place to know how it's going to work out or how it's not going to work out. But if we let it be, whether it's the universe or God or an energy or science or math or pure dumb luck or numerology or whatever, like whatever the answer is, just move with it and see where it goes and be open-minded. And I'll tell you right now, I did not think I was going to be like interested in this guy like so quickly, more than like any guy in the last like 5 years. And why did it have to happen right now in this way? I don't get to know that. I don't need to know that. Just appreciate that it's working out for right now. And even if it doesn't long term, how grateful I am to have experienced this opportunity. So I hope you got something out of this. I don't know where life is going to lead. And you guys heard me complain like, oh my God, I could never meet somebody on a dating app. And oh my God, like, what am I, like, he's got to be in like a 15-mile radius of me because it's going to take like fucking 2 hours to get to anybody in West LA. And here I am meeting a guy on a dating app and he lives in freaking, the fuck does IE stand for? Inland Empire. Jesus fucking Christ. That took me way too long to say. It's like you go past Chino, you go past Rancho, you go past Riverside, you go past San Bernardino, and then somewhere near Fontana, you'll find this guy that I'm trying to date. And I'm just like, man, as a driver, it's just funny that like my commutes are just getting longer and longer, and like, what's 50 miles? What's 100 miles? And what I'm realizing, and it's kind of symbolic to my job, is the more you don't think small and the more you're like, 100 miles, that kind of sucks, but I'm here for it. I mean, it's like the more you see, right? The more you get to experience, the more life, God, universe, energy, whatever you want to call it, has room to bless you or give you an opportunity or give you a little treat. And I think what you're doing right this very second, it is working. You don't get to know what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know who's on your side. You don't know if you're grinding and grinding and crying on the floor because something's not working. Maybe it is, but you can't see that yet. I really would love to know why things can't happen in our timing. We don't get to know. And I'm very, very slowly starting to realize, and man, if you would have told me this concept like 5 years ago, when I was thinking about my ex, I'd be like, F you, I gotta have the answers to everything. It's a weird feeling now to be thinking the opposite, but like, I don't gotta know. As long as it's working out, why do you gotta know? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's my favorite company. How did the stone feel after his workout? Rock solid. Hey, so this company, WCSG.com, it's like this like gravel company, West Coast Sand and Gravel Inc. I just got to give a shout out to you guys. I see you guys out on the road like all the time. And so all of their trucks are like bright blue and shiny and retro looking. And on the back, they always have these like little knock jokes or these little like dad puns. And it's like, it's just a little thing that makes your day. And it's just like, I don't know how big the company is, but I drive enough to see them like a couple times a week. And I'm like, yes, it's West Coast Sand and Gravel. Like, what's my little factoid of the day? Just got to appreciate the little things that make you happy. Anyways, I'm learning things on this journey. I'm trying to see the bigger picture. I'm trying not to rush into anything and like take my time and understand the bigger picture Release the ego, release the pride. You don't know everything, and to give something a chance. And so far it's working out. Who knows what will happen in the future, but I'm grateful. And we don't need to know. We don't need to know all the things that are out of our control. And I don't think you even need to take it one step further and say, like, oh, it's our right to know, or we deserve to know, or something is wrong with us if we don't know, or we don't learn the lesson if we can't figure it out. So much more with age lately has just been about me just going with the frickin' flow and just allowing life to be life. And with all the work that you do and I do in our lives, things get easier. Tragedies can be a little bit more bearable. And this is just like one positive word of affirmation I'll give to you guys that will hopefully help. And I'll end with this. The older you get, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know jack shit. But the benefit of aging, like, first off, no, you don't need Botox, and you look fucking fabulous without makeup. And guys, you don't need to have the perfect bod. Like, literally all bodies are so beautiful. I guarantee you, as you get older in life, you're like, man, do I need them to look and be all this way? Or do they just make me feel fucking fantastic and I'm getting everything I've wanted slowly in ways that I don't get to know all up front? Allow yourself to age and grow and learn and experience things that you've never experienced before. And those little things that you've dreamed about in your head, they're totally possible. Just got to be a little bit more open-minded. Whatever that is for you, you're figuring it out. And age is wisdom, and that's the best part about life. If you try to speed up that process and you try to hurry up and get older, well, then you're missing the journey, you're missing the lessons, you're missing the heartbreaks, you're missing like the turnarounds where like all of a sudden you defeated, the monster, and now you're like the champion holding the sword. That was a very strange analogy. I don't know why I said that, but this is why you take your time. This is why you trust the process. And this is why you let time in and of itself take over, because everything happens for some reason. You just don't get to know that reason. And somehow that's okay. Trusting the process really is what it comes down to. So anyways, I'm going to end it there. I really appreciate you guys listening to this. I'm in a weird place lately. I'm with this guy who's an incredible love maker, who held my hand in the mountains, who bought some bike parts so that he can take me out on like romantic, like motorcycle rides. And he still has to get a couple more parts so that I can bike with them. And I cannot be in my head and be like, well, he was going to do this for any passenger. But it's like, Evelyn, what do you want him to say? Like, yes, I expedited this so that you specifically, Evelyn, will get back on my bike. Blah, blah. You know what? Like, I can always find ways to like fuck up a beautiful situation and self-sabotage it and like be in my head. But like, literally, I'm just going to appreciate the ride and see what happens. And you guys heard me say it. I wanted someone who could communicate. Well, by Jove, this guy does, and it's adorable. So we'll just see what happens. And I believe you will find it too. Obviously, do you now notice that from Reflections of Evelyn, you see the before, the during, and the after? Just like you would a sitcom that you're watching for like 10 years, or it has prolonged for 10 years, and you're binge watching it in 6 months. Whatever. The point is, you're seeing the progress. And as I look back into my own episodes, I'm like, dang, yes, these were all thoughts. These were opinions I had. These are the struggles that I had. And like, you get the luxury of being able to fast forward to present day and things are changing. And that's the best part of life. Like, we are constantly ever evolving and changing. And let this podcast be an example to you that, like, you know, life has its ups and downs. And sometimes it's going to be up, up, up. Sometimes it's going to be down, down, down. But whatever ride you're on, whatever journey, if it's up or down or plateauing right in the middle, you're going to get through it. You're going to have some beautiful moments along the way. You're not going to know everything. And maybe, just maybe, if you get out of your way a little bit, you might find some real beauty. I hope you guys have the best evening, the best morning, the best afternoon, the best week, the best month, the best year of your life. And if it's not, fucking change that shit and make it better. Take care, you guys. Love you. Besos.
All right, it's your turn. Let's do this. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. Spend a little time with me, and maybe you will see just temporarily fall